But it's a good discussion, definitely.
Yeah, I want to talk to you about some of the other personal stuff, like in the book. I gotta say, looking at this book, being 26 years old, I'm kind of leaning, like I date women, I don't go out with dudes, but I fooled around with some buddies and stuff. And looking at this book from a 2020 guy perspective, and reading some of the stories and what you had to go through just sort of on the DL, being one of the biggest singers in the world and still having to hop in a cab and go to a glory hole at a truck stop in the middle of butt-fuck nowhere, for lack of a better term.
Yep.
I just felt so bad reading this because in 2020, if you'd come out, you'd be celebrated. Whereas at the time, and the quote was, you said you felt guilty even about, having gay porn in your flight cases and stuff like that. So, and you did it to really make sure the band didn't get affected by it. But now looking back, do you think that it would have affected the band had you come out?
Yeah, I think it would have.
Yeah.
I think it would have. Just because it was a different time, different climate, socially, politically. Wow, those were some heavy moments,
Yeah.
in the 70s for people like myself. Back home in the UK, we were being thrown in jail. You were caught in a toilet or whatever because you desperately needed some kind of intimate experience, and you're thrown in jail for months. It just seems inconceivable.
Yeah, because, thinking about it now in 2020, it's like I looking back at it, it's just so medieval.
It's exactly, man. It totally was. So you pile all that on everything else, and here I am in this glorious heavy metal band that's making incredible headway into, success and picking up fans all over the world.
Mm-hmm.
And it was a major concern, not just from me, but I think from everybody else. There was a worry that if this had hit the press and that had run with it, it could have done irreparable damage, and we were not going to take that risk. I certainly wasn't going to take that risk for my band, and so all of that extreme mental stuff is clearly discussed in detail in the book. And for someone like yourself, Jeremy, a 26-year-old guy that's had some of those experiences, I'm sure you can relate. And again, this book is for everybody. This book is for everybody in and out of the metal world.
Yeah.
And I think this is the beautiful way that Ian has been able to really structure the book on a multifaceted level.
No, totally. And, talking about that, I've always been curious, and I love that I have you and I can ask you this question. Why do you think the metal community is so homophobic? And I ask that because, to a major population and a major portion of the fan base, you're immediately called a fag or you're called gay, even if you hint at you like a pop song or you like something that's not, or anything that isn't metal in general. Why do you think that is? And why do you think the metal community is just such a close-minded people?
Well, I think you and I are going to have an interesting, different point of view here because it was my revelation and understanding, particularly when I came out in 98, or was it 98, 96, whatever, was that all of my built-in worry about being rejected came from a metal community that was just the opposite. Metal in its essence has always been a very, very kind of inclusive experience to people that know what metal is about. It's not just the music; it's a community,
right?
And it was my misconception that there would be a massive pushback to me as a gay man coming out in metal, and I found that to be just the opposite. Having said that, yeah, there were some people that don't like people like me, my sexual identity at least, and that's for them to deal with. There's nothing I've got no control over that.
Right.
All I can do is speak out against that and support the rest of us that do openly bring everybody in inclusively, unconditionally into the metal world. And I think that for the most part now, the metal community is more caring and tolerant and understanding of people from all different sexual identities. It's not 100% spot on, you know, that's life. That's life. You know, people are people. I mean, I know for a fact that there are people that are into Priest and love what the band does, but they don't particularly like me for my identity, but they still accept the band and they still accept my music.
Yeah.
Hey, that's great. You know, it's like
it's
Republican,
awesome.
Democrat, you know, Labour, Tory.
Yeah.
It's all that. It's all about accepting each other's differences, but not letting it do any damage, you know?
It blows my mind how, you know, even now it's like people are just so obsessed with who somebody's laying in bed next to, you know?
That's the world we live in. You know, I'm a 69-year-old metalhead. You're 26, and you know, the vast difference that you and I can talk about in the way the world has changed can't be overstated. That's for a fact.